Are you eating?
Chocolate.
Chocolate? Who gave you chocolate?
No, it doesn't matter. Oh, it's the ma'am.
Abhi?
Hello.
Okay.
Now we can start the chapter.
Yes. There are 2 questions remaining. You write those answers, then we'll start.
Yes, we have to do the answer. I have got
Come on. Finish it quickly. Hello.
So you know what he does? We won't get hurt. Just to be simple, he
You wrote the answer.
So nice.
Hello, wrote the answer.
Yes, ma'am. Use the knife also.
Good question. If you get hurt from a knife, do you actually still use it, or is it unhygienic to now use it? If you cut it,
wash it and use it again.
but is it like murder knife?
Unless you have your own order.
No, like, think about it. Would you eat from the knife someone used to stab someone? The same logic. Why would you eat from a knife that you cut yourself?
नहीं होता है
Think about it. Food for thought.
अरे बेटा वो नाइफ
Then in that
वो शार्पनेंट करके उसको ऐड हम उसको यूज करके पोस्टमार्टम के लिए यूज करने लग जाते हैं मैं इतनी काम करती हूँ ना
next time you will have difficulty in the kitchen because when you start cooking
Buy new one.
every time.
Yes. कितनी को मेरे घर में मर्डर हुआ है क्या? मैं तेरा कर दूंगी उसे. ऐसे कुछ कोई पूछता है. मैं randomly. It was important.
Okay, for frost, what do fire and ice stand for? 2 mark answer.
Fire stands for. Ma'am, you told him to give the
Yeah.
answer.
Fire stands for the anger.
Fire stands for desire.
Desire. And I stand for hatred.
Okay, एक line में हो गया. So this question is for 2 marks.
One more line.
You need to have 2 to 3 lines. What will you write?
According to the poet,
Why
ice
this-
is more. According to the poet, ice is more destructive.
Both fire and ice are destructive, equally destructive.
According to the poet, ice is more destructive. Poet ने बोला है.
Okay, 1 minute. No, he's saying it is equally destructive. Fire, even desire can cause an end to the world, and even hatred can cause an end to the world. What more do you want to say? Hello, you raised your hand.
Difference between fire and ice is that fire can cause the end of world.
What?
Fire can cause the end of the world by desire. So many people have desire to do many things,
Yes.
and ice can also end the world because of hatred. Today, in the world, hatred is still going on, as well as suicide. So, if this keeps going
There is large scale hatred among
among the people present on the earth, and
these two things can cause
the end of world is
how? How will these two things, how will desire and hatred bring an end of world, cause an end to the world? Yes. 1 minute, everybody needs to get, I will give you a chance.
Fire and ice can cause. No, I will tell you. Okay. How is fire and ice can cause? So fire and ice both can cause the end of the world, as poet has said in the poem. As the poet Robert Frost has told in the poem, fire and ice, as they both are very destructive. Ice for hatred and fire से दोनों का definition था उसके बाद में.
How will it cause an end? How will desire and
Desire.
Okay.
first part is what do they stand for?
Fire stands for desire and passion as well as anger, whereas ice stands for hatred and indifference towards each other.
Yes.
Fire can cause the end of the world because passion and anger can cause wars, whereas ice leads to indifference, which can lead people to stop caring about each other to the point that the world ends, basically.
So hatred and indifference can also cause war and bring an end to the world.
Yeah.
Both desires and hatred will cause war among people. Desire will cause war among people because each one wants more. And hatred will cause war.
It just causes indifference. You become indifferent to them when you hate someone so much.
You hate someone so much,
Then you
stop
eventually stop caring about what
you
they
stop caring. At the same time, there is hate leads to anger, and anger causes war. So you can say hate will cause indifference, and you stop caring about people. And hatred further also leads to anger, and thus leads to war. Should I dictate this answer? Yes. हाँ.
मैम ये जो आपने कौन सा मतलब क्वेश्चन बोल सकते हैं
ये वाला.
Okay, the word fire stands for the desire. In the poem, it indicates all types of greed and lust. In today's world, mankind's greed is endangering the very existence of the planet Earth. Another word, the eyes in the poem indicates an indifference, which is cold as an ice. Cold indifference and hate can be equal destructive.
Okay, good. So,
This movement.
मुझे समझ में नहीं आया तुमने ये कैसे सोचा
for frost, what do fire and ice stand for? For frost, what do fire and ice stand for? If this comes for 2 marks, you will write that in the poem of fire and ice, Frost has used two words, fire and ice, which indicate desire and hatred respectively. Desire, respectively. This is basically the main answer. उतना लिख दो 1 मार्क तो मिलना ही मिलना है. अगर 2 मार्क्स के लिए है तो थोड़ा एक्सपैंड कर दो. Okay, there is a lot of desire in the world today, which is causing major problem among the people. There is a world, people also hate each other and are indifferent towards each other, which is a major cause of fights and quarrels in the world. Yeah, this is for this line. The last answer I will dictate. Okay. The last answer is, how will fire and ice cause an end to the world? So if you write, तुमने लिख दिया, very good. 1 minute. ये थोड़ा सा लिख देना. As I said, for 3 mark answer, you will always mention the name of the poem and name of the poet. So you will write in the poem Fire and Ice, Robert Frost has used, write this line.
I wrote that line.
Yeah.
I'll just.
So 1 minute. Fire and ice are metaphors used for desire and hatred in the poem.
In the poem.
In the poem, or if you have not written this, then write in the poem Fire and Ice. In the poem Fire and Ice, Robert Frost has used. I'm dictating this last answer. I'm dictating the answer to the 6th question. Wrote? Okay. You write the 6th answer first, then go to the 3rd and 4th. Okay. So write in the poem Fire and Ice, Robert Frost has used the words fire and ice as metaphors
Can we proceed, please?
the writing. The poet says both these fire and ice are used as metaphors for desire and hatred.
Poet says that
Both desire and hatred are destructive forces. Both desire and hatred are destructive forces. The poet says that both desire and hatred are destructive forces. Full stop. They are powerful enough to cause war jealousy. Yeah, they are powerful enough to cause war, jealousy, and further cause the end of the world.
Shubham, you put phone.
Whatever this compass box right now, it seems.
You said you don't have phone. You were asked to keep the phone there, no?
रेखा मैम को बता दें।
नहीं, तो फालतू की क्वेश्चन। Further cause the end of the
Further cause the end of the world. Thus, both these are violent and cruel human emotions.
The end of the world then.
Both these are violent and cruel human emotions.
and cruel, right?
Yeah, cruel and violent human emotions that threaten the existence of this world. That threaten the existence of the peace in the world. Or just this world will also do. Now if you want to add few more things in this, you can. Okay, 1 minute. Shh. Do not close the book. Read the answer once. Whatever the big answer is, in whichever form, more or less, this is the gist of the poem. Whatever the big answer question is, this is the gist of the poem. Okay? So learn it once. Read it once or twice. Try to remember the answer. Okay.
ये वाली अच्छी सी पानी के तस्वीर
Just like we have born and we will die after some year. The poet believes that the poet believes as many people believe that either the fire or ice will be the cause of the end of the world.
Did you read the answer? Did you read the answer?
You have to try to memorize it.
Yeah. Did you read
I
the
read
answer?
it and I know everything that was in the answer.
Read the answer? Did you get the answer? And answer the lines this. No. S. The answers of the poem should be in the present tense. Do not forget. And the homework would be go through these answers. Yeah, I'll ask orally only, but in the next period. Okay? So that is your homework. Go through these answers.
हम दूसरा एसी क्यों ऑन किया उससे पानी गिरता है मुझे ठंड लग रही है तो हम एक एसी ऑफ कर दें
Let it be for some time. I'll switch off the fans.
Yes.
No, mama.
Thank you.
But you can.
A Triumph of Surgery. Have you read this?
Cat dog.
Ma'am, can we do the next?
Weird
We'll
lady.
do the next one in the
Weird,
next period.
weird lady. Cat dog. Weird doctor.
So, smart doctor actually. Basically, sometimes we are so fond of our children or our dogs, we end up feeding them too much. So the over care and over pampering can cause big harm to anyone. Okay, so it's a very interesting lesson, a triumph of surgery, and we will start with you.
I am her.
Don't you have
No, it will go in line.
Yeah.
It will go in order. हाँ वेरी गुड इंग्लिश मैम ना ऐसे ऑर्डर में जाती है सबको चांस मिलना चाहिए ओके सिट देयर यू डोंट हैव अ टेक्स्ट बुक
Ma'am, it's my textbook.
Ma'am, I have my name on this.
okay don't write your name on that if it is not yours
I read in the paper.
no but they need to read at the same time
No,
It's
ma'am.
not only you.
This class, right?
You have one more book.
Only one.
That's your text.
now children you must carry both the books
I carry both of them every single day.
what has happened
The book was misprinted.
First chapter or second chapter is printed twice instead of the
But
second chapter is printed twice instead of the first chapter.
it is so wonderful
Both the books.
चीकू अंकल को बोलना है यार.
Let's see who नहीं खरीदा है.
अरे बेचारी.
मैंने मार्क्स चेंज किया.
okay triumph of surgery now I'll read what is given in the box and then she will start reading okay Tricky, a small dog, is pampered and overfed by his rich mistress. If you need to behave. Tricky, a small dog, is pampered and overfed by his rich mistress. He falls seriously ill, and his mistress consult a veterinary surgeon. Need to change my spectacles. Does he perform an operation? Does the dog recover? Okay, read.
I was really worried about Tricky this time. I had pulled up my car when I saw him in the street with his mistress, and I was shocked at his appearance. He had become hugely fat, like a bloated sausage with a leg at each corner. His eyes bloodshot and roomy stared straight ahead, and his tongue
Lord,
lolled
out
his jaw.
from his jaw. Yes. Mrs. Pumphrey.
Humphrey
Hastened. P silent. Haste and hastened.
Where is my answer? History. Actually, I'll let you if you don't pronounce it.
Look, it is haste. To make haste, you need to go in a hurry and hasten. That's the verb form. Hasten to explain.
Well, I'm going to times, but I'm saving us from history.
Mrs. Humphrey hastened to explain. He was so listless, Mr.
Harriet.
He seemed to have no energy.
I thought
I thought he must be suffering from
malnutrition.
So I had been giving him some little extra between meals to build him up. Some
Mold.
and cod liver oil and a bowl of meal to
A bowl of Horlicks at night.
to make him sleep. Nothing much really.
Okay. So when this doctor met this our lady, what was her name?
Mrs. Pumphrey.
Mrs. Pumphrey. And when he saw her dog, what did the dog look like?
A bloated sausage with 4
It
legs.
looked like a bloated sausage. Okay. With 4 legs at each end. And When the doctor inquired, our Mrs. Pumphrey said, "Oh, nothing. I thought he was malnourished." So you can see he is this nice and fat dog, and the mistress thought he is malnourished, and therefore she was giving him extra food, malt and cod liver oil, because बेचारा बहुत weak हो गया था, and Horlicks at night to make him sleep.
Isn't chocolate poisonous to dogs?
It's not good for dogs. That's what they say. You have a dog at home?
Two. Yes, two big dogs.
I have two at my farmhouse.
They are very
Okay.
And did you cut down on the sweet things as I told you? Oh, I did for a bit, but he seemed to be so weak, I had to relent. He does love cream cakes and chocolates, so I can't bear to refuse him. I looked down again at the little dog. That was the trouble. Tricky's only fault was greed. He had never been known to refuse food. He would tackle a meal at any hour of the day or night. And I wondered about all the things Mrs. Buckley hadn't mentioned. Are you giving him plenty of exercise? Well, he has his little walks with me, as you can see. But Hodgkin,
Hodgkin.
but Hodgkin the gardener has been down with lumbago, so there has been no ring throwing lately. I tried to sound severe. Now I really mean this. If you don't cut his food right down and give him more exercise, he is going to be really ill. You must harden your heart and keep him on a very strict diet. Mrs. Pumphrey wrung her hands. Oh, I will, Mr. Harriet. I am sure you are right. But it is so difficult, so very difficult. She set off, head down, along the road, as if determined to put the new regime into practice immediately.
Yes. So she met and he asked, "Okay, you're feeding him so much. Are you giving him enough exercise?" See, dogs need good amount of exercise. You need to take them for long walks, make them run, because whatever said and done, they are not to, nobody should be just sitting at one place. And he said, "Yeah, I take him for walks." Now, this madam, how fast will she walk? So, even the dog walks very slowly for some time. So, in short, there was not much exercise. That gardener was also not well. So, there was no ring throwing. That means even he was not taking him out anymore. So, there was very little exercise and lots of food to eat. There had never, ever, he was never refused food. So at what he would do, he would just sit at home and eat. That's all the dog was doing. Yeah, read. Uh, Please share the book with him also. He's simply sitting.
I watched the progress and growing concern. Ricky was tossing along with his little feet cord. He had a whole wardrobe of his coats for the cold weather and a raincoat for the winters. He staggered on, proving in his harness. I thought it wouldn't be long before I heard from Mrs. Humphrey. The expected call came within 2 days. Mrs. Humphrey was distraught. Ricky would eat nothing, refused even his favorite dishes, and besides he had bouts of vomiting. He spent all his time lying on the rug, panting. Didn't want to go for walks, didn't want to do anything. I had made my plans in advance. The only way was to get Ricky out of the house for a period. I suggested that he be
Hospitalized.
hospitalized for about a fortnight to be kept under observation. The poor lady almost swooned. She was sure he would pine and die if he had need not see her every day. But I took a firm line. Ricky was very ill and this was only way to save him. In fact, I thought it best to take him without delay and followed Mrs. Congress meetings and marched out of the car waiting for a little love wrapped in a blanket.
Okay. Now, if you see the description, you'll realize that Ricky belonged to this rich lady. He had a wardrobe full of coats to wear during the winters. He had raincoats for the rainy days. And the doctor expected that very soon he's going to get a call, because with so much weight, with so much food, and no exercise, Tricky will not go on for long. And the expected call did come. Tricky was just had bouts of vomiting. He was throwing up. He was not eating anything, and the doctor got the call. The doctor had already decided the plan of action. He had decided that the only thing that will cure this dog was to take him out of that house first. Okay, so he said that he is not well, so he should be hospitalized. Did our Mrs. Pumphrey agree to it immediately? Actually, no. She thought that if the dog does not see her, he will pine and die if he doesn't see her. Okay, that means he'll miss her so much that he cannot live without her. So, though she cried and was throwing tantrums, in short, you know, in spite of her wailing, that means crying, he took a firm action and took the dog out of the house and decided to put him in the hospital. Yeah, read the next part.
The empress cat was roused and made such in her house, seeking his way went. His night bed, favorite cushions, toys and rubber rings, breakfast bowl, lunch bowl, supper bowl.
Supper bowl. Yeah.
Realizing that my car would never hold all the stuff, I started to drive away as I moved off. Mrs. Pumphrey, with a despairing cry, threw an armful of little goods through the window. I looked in the mirror before I turned the corner of drive. Everybody was in tears. Out on the road, I glanced down at the pathetic and little animal gasping on the seat by my side. I patted the other head, and Ricky made a brave effort to wag his tail. Poor old lad, I said, you haven't a kick in you, but I think I know a cure for you.
Okay, so you can imagine when he came to their house to take the dog, the entire staff, maids and everyone rushed in and out. What were they carrying?
Some breakfast bowl, lunch bowl,
Yeah, everything that belonged to this dog. He had a separate bed, day bed, night bed. Then there were favorite cushions. He had some rubber things, some toys. There were different bowls, breakfast bowl, lunch bowl, dinner bowl. So all that because he shouldn't miss home, no? So therefore they carried everything. Hello, we are reading the lesson.
I wish I was Mrs. Pumphrey's
And and then when he turned and the doctor realized, क्या क्या भरेंगे भाई गाड़ी में? This is not going to fit in his car. So he started driving. But when he started the car, madam rushed out and threw some coats also inside. They left. Let's see what happened then.
So he kidnapped a dog from someone's house after that.
No, he did not. Kidnapping is when you do it without telling the owner. He told the owner and he charged the owner also for his services. Yeah.
That not.
At the surgery, the household dogs surged around
Me.
me. Surged around me. Ricky looked down at the noisy pack with dull eyes and, when put down, lay motionless on the carpet. The other dogs, after sniffing around him for a few seconds, decided he was an uninterested object and
Uninteresting object and
ignored him.
hmm.
I made up a bed for him in a warm loose box next to the one where the other dogs slept. For 2 days, I kept an eye on him, giving him no food but plenty of water. At the end of the second day, he started to show some interest in his surroundings, and on the third day, he began to whimper when he heard the dogs in the yard. When I opened the door, Ricky trotted out and was immediately
Engulfed by
Joe, the greyhound, and his friends. After rolling him over, Ricky followed him.
no, after rolling him over,
The dogs moved off down the garden. Ricky followed them, rolling slightly with his circular stride. Later that day, I was present at feeding time. I watched while Tristan slopped the food into the bowls. There was the usual headlong rush followed by the sounds of high-speed eating. Every dog knew that if he fell behind the other, he was liable to have some competition for the last part of his meal.
Yes. You understood what happened here?
Yes,
They he took him to the hospital, put him on the same room where all the dogs were kept. The dogs came, they sniffed him. He was simply sitting on that bed, Tricky. They sniffed him and they realized he's not very interesting object and they went out. 2 days, did he feed him? Did the doctor feed him?
no, he just
No. He only gave him water. He only gave the dog water. The dog was also, it was a new environment, new surrounding. He didn't know other dogs, so he also did not mix around with them. He just sat there. Third day, there was a change. Third day, he got up. He also, it is given a nice description. Tricky trotted out and was immediately engulfed by Joe the greyhound and his friends. They immediately came and surrounded him. Okay, when he came out of wherever he was put. After rolling him over and thoroughly inspecting him, they rolled him over and thoroughly inspecting him. The dogs moved out of down to the garden. All the dogs went to the garden. There they started running, playing, whatever they were doing, and our Tricky also followed. Later that day, when it was time to feed, Tristan went and slopped the food in the plate. They all came rushing. Why? They knew if they are late, then there is competition when there are so many dogs. They will not get enough food and they will not get the last part of their meal. So they have to be present. When you have two, three siblings or when you have cousins, I don't know how things are now, but when you have two, three siblings, if there is something you have to be present. Otherwise, वो तुम्हारे लिए बचेगा नहीं. Either the older sibling or mostly the younger ones will polish off everything. So that's
yes, ma'am. Even in the holidays when we go to a native.
place, and if there are more than two or
But we
three
are
cousins,
eight, like, all mommy, masi. This happens.
okay. Okay, so then what happened? When they had finished, Tricky took a walk round the shining bowls, licking casually inside one or two of them. Next day, an extra bowl was put out for him, and I was pleased to see him jostling his way towards it. So he got whatever his portion was. He tried to lick because the portions were definitely small, smaller than what he was fed at home. Yeah, read.
The next day, an extra bowl was pulled out for him, and I was pleased to see him
Jostling his way. Jostling his way means you have to rush, no, when there are push. If there are birthday parties and when the chocolates fall, how you jostle to pick up the chocolates. So that is pushing each other and going and getting your share. That is jostling.
his way toward it. From then on, his
Progress was
his progress was rapid. He had no
medicinal treatment.
of any kind, but all the day he ran with the dog, joining in their friendly
Scrimmages.
scrimmages. He discovered the joy of being bowled over, translated, and on this quest in a few minutes. He became an accepted member of the gang, and unlike silky little object, found his attitude thus told and his discipline. Fighting, fighting like a tiger for his share at the mealtimes and hunting rats in old man's house. At the night, he had never had such one kind of his life.
See, okay, so here He spent all his time playing with other dogs. He ran around with other dogs. There was no medical treatment. He only had the, you know, he was bowled over, he was pushed, he was chased, he was uh, by the other dogs. So what? Sorry, bullied. Bullied would be, when you don't like it. They were playing, so he was chased. He was pretty happy. He had never had such activity, and he had never enjoyed his time so much. So what he did all the time was he was outside, ran, played, chased other dogs chased him. That's all. He also, like a tiger on for his share at meal times and hunting rats in the old hen house at night. He did all the activities that he could not do in his uh, house.
Luxurious life. Maybe luxurious.
Luxurious life. Yes. Read.
All the while still
Mrs. Pumphrey, Howard,
were anxiously in the background,
ringing.
Nani's study.
Okay. Read.
Ringing and telling and study. For the latest,
Bulletins.
I dodged the questions about whether his questions were being done boldly or his correct code one according to the weather. But I was able to tell her that the little fellow was out of danger and
Conversing rapidly.
conversing rapidly.
What is convulsing network?
Conversing rapidly is, breathing well and breathing rapidly, convulsing, recovering from an illness rapidly.
The word convincing seemed to do something to Mr. Humphrey. She started to ring around fresh air, 2 dozen at a time, to build up tricky strength for a happy period. My partners and I had 2 eggs, each for breakfast, but when the bottle of wine began to arrive, the real possibilities to the situation began to dawn on the household. It was enriched, tricky slur. Lunch became a ceremonial occasion with 2 glasses of wine before and several during the meal.
Now,
Oh,
now, you know what? You understood what happened here.
She fed the dog alcohol.
Here,
How
now,
pathetic.
when the dog was in the hospital, the so-called hospital, she kept hovering. That means she kept calling him. How is my dog? Are his cushions changed regularly? Is he wearing the coat according to the weather? Are you taking proper care? And he would, most of the times, he would avoid taking the calls. And sometimes, he would only inform her that he is recovering well. He is, in what condition he had got. Tricky. Tricky was throwing up, Tricky was vomiting constantly, he was just sitting there, not eating anything. And he kept saying, and when she kept calling, he said, yes, he's recovering very well. Then she thought that, oh, if he's recovering, if he's ready to eat, now he needs more energy. So she started sending eggs, 2 dozen eggs at a time. So he said that uh, for a happy period, my partners and I had 2 eggs each for breakfast. Did he feed him? No. They ate the eggs, 2 eggs at a time, because the dog did not require any eggs. What the dog required
Was running around.
was running around,
Exercise.
exercise. Yes, not excessive food. He had too much of food. Then she started sending wine to purify his blood. And then the doctors, obviously they did not give. But they started having wine. Lunch became a ceremonial occasion for them. Now, with 2 glasses of wine before and several during the meal. Yeah, read. Hmm? Page 5. We could hardly
We could hardly believe it when the time he came to put a final edge on Tricky's constitution. For a few nights, the fine spirit was rolled around, inhaled and reverently
drunk. So they were shocked when the brandy was sent. The dog would feed even brandy for his good health.
Something, ma'am, after
No.
when the dog returns, oh,
He'd be a drunk mess.
We could hardly believe. Did the dog enjoy? No.
What have you seen?
The doctors in the people in the hospital, they said for a few nights, the fine spirit rolled around and inhaled and reverently drank. They enjoyed brandy.
But what about how poorly he must have been kept before
Actually,
then?
ma'am, let
Okay, read the next.
There were days of deep content, starting well with the extra egg in the morning, improved and sustained by the midday wine, and finishing luxuriously round the fire with the brandy. It was a
It was
temptation
a temptation
to
to
keep
keep.
Preeti on as permanent guest. But I knew
It was a temptation. They were so tempted. यार इसको यहीं पे रख देते हैं. Must you get good eggs, free wine, free brandy. So they felt we should not leave him only. Yes.
I knew Mr. Humphrey was a prince, and after a fortnight, felt
Compelled to phone.
complained to phone and tell her that the little dog had recovered and was awaiting collection. Within minutes, about 30 feet of gleaming black metal drew outside the surgery.
The chauffeur.
The shopper opened the door, and I could just make out the figure of Mr. Humphrey, almost lost in the interior. Her hand was tightly clasped in the
Clasped in front of her.
Her lips were trembled. Oh, Mr. Harrier, do tell me the truth. Is he really better? Yes, he is fine. There is no need for you to get out of the car. I will go and fetch him. I walked to the house into the garden. A mass of dogs was hurtling and round the lawn, and in their midst, ears flapping, tail waving, was the little golden figure of Tricky. In 2 weeks, he had been transformed
Into a
little.
lithe, hard-muscled animal. He had lost all his fat in 2 weeks. He was given little food. He had to come run. He was left out in the garden with all the other dogs. He was chased, he ran, he played, and now he was no longer a fat, chubby, sausage-like dog that he was. Now he was a lithe.
Muscular.
Lithe means and a muscled animal, thin, flexible. Yeah.
He was keeping up well with the pack, stretching out in a great bound, in his chest almost brushing the ground. I carried him back along the passage to front of the house. The shopper was still holding the car door open, and when
He
he
saw
saw
his
his mistress, he took off from my arms the tremendous sleep, and
the tremendous leap and
and
said,
sailed into Mr. Pantry's lap. She gave a stuttered oh, and then had to defend herself as he swarmed over her. Miss Chatna.
swarmed over her means she was all over her, licking her face and barking.
During this excitement, I helped the shopper to bring out the beds, toys,
Cushions.
coats, and balls, none of which had been used. As the car moved away, Mr. Pantry leaned out of the car, tears shone in her eyes, her lips trembled. Oh, Mr. Harrier, she cried. Now I can.
How can I ever
Thank you. This is a
triumph of surgery? She thought he underwent a surgery, and that's why she has lost all his fat and reduced and become and changed. Underwent a total change. Was there any surgery?
No.
What did the doctor do?
Only
Starved him and made
Gave him little food.
starved him.
Not starved him. He did not starve him.
Poor dog.
He gave him little food and more exercise. More
Kindly such a Mrs.
complete my
Playtime. But do you think very soon he would have again turned into a sausage, you know?
That's what I want.
Because again, his owner will
Feed him wine and brandy. Please stop. No.
and he will become dog.
Isn't alcohol also deadly for dogs? Why is she feeding him chocolate and alcohol?
मैम मुझे बोला है मैम वो करेक्ट वे है ब्रिज टू ब्लड मैंने प्यूरिफिकेशन मैम वो सही तरीका है मैम जैसे जो बताया था हम उसको पिलाते नहीं थे मैम वो लोग डॉग्स को पिलाया जाता है मैम इन्हें क्रिटिकल एक्टिविटी जैसे डॉग को कोई रॉड और लग जाता है तो हम लोग ऐसे डॉग करते हैं तो टिटनेस की सूली हम लोग खत्म कर देते हैं बट मैम उनकी मैम हम लोग इंजेक्ट करते हैं मैम बाय उनकी वीन्स में मैं मुझे मजाक नहीं कर रहा हूँ मैम सच्ची मैम
We lost us.
well said, well said.
What did he say?
He said they inject wine in their blood. No, Raja, no.
If they inject wine in their blood, no, they won't come. They won't even recognize their own owner.
No, if you inject wine in somebody's blood, no, you will not survive.
Exactly.
You can't inject even another blood group, the blood of another blood group. Forget injecting anything else. So,
Because you're so smart.
no. Probably they have some method. मगर हाँ शायद होगा but definitely not injecting it in their veins. I don't think कुछ तो होगा. I'm not doubting you, but होगा. See, over the period of time, I've learned one thing that I will never doubt. There is always possibility, but
This looks quite.
this is
Questionable.
this may not be the case. कुछ और तरीका होगा that they must be using wine to. But I think alcohol in any form is not
Dogs
good
cannot
for
take
animals.
alcohol. Dogs cannot take alcohol. End of story.
Okay.
Wouldn't really drink alcohol.
No, he said no, he does not. He's young. How can you ask him that question? He's just 16. Then
After that, what did he say?
nothing.
That's what I was.
No, bro, I'm good.
Then why did you ask him? Even he is a good boy.
Eh?
That is claimed under good. Okay. What kind of a person do you think the narrator, a veterinary surgeon, is?
A bad person.
Kind and helpful.
Would you say he's a tactful as well as full of common sense?
I would call him a dog torturer.
Now I want, hey, you switched off.
Leader.
हमने बस ऊपर वाले में एक ही चीज बंद कर दी कि मैं ठंड
Nine.
Fan तो लगा दो. There's no AC.
मैम मुझे बस एक ही वजह वाली वाला बंद करना था मैम ये दोनों एक साथ बंद करना
There's an interesting question. There is an interesting question. The second question. Do you think Tricky was happy to go home?
No. Yes.
Yes.
He was so excited to go
ये
home.
लेट जस्ट bonus fees
Yeah. He jumped on Mrs. Humphrey's lap and started licking her face. He was very happy to see the owner.
But he will miss his fellow mates.
Yeah.
No mate.
What do you think will happen now?
He will again gain weight and become like a sausage.
Bloated sausage.
Bloated.
Okay.
With 4 little legs sticking out. Please be specific.
Now, why would you say that the doctor was a tactful person? Tactful matlab a shrewd, tactful. He had a tact. Why would you call our veterinary surgeon a tactful person? Tactful is a person who has good common sense.
Looking at his actions for the dog, and even his replies which he gave to the dog's owner, it looked he was very smart and had good tactics.
Okay, I want a big answer. You'll write only one answer for this, more or less.
It's just 5 minutes.
But time's up.
No, time is not up. Okay, I'll not give written activity, but I'll give you. You give me this answer, and this answer you will write after the next class. One answer only. So the question is, why would you call the veterinary surgeon a tactful person?
Because he followed the process in advance.
What?
He followed the process of recovery in advance.
Okay.
I would just call him a
And
dog
And we can see that how tricky was before making the veterinary. And when he is a
First, you will tell what kind of owner Tricky's what kind of owner Tricky's mistress was. What will you say about Tricky's owner?
She was very extremely caring woman.
She was extravagant with her dog's needs.
Okay, you can use the word overindulgent.
Yeah,
Overcaring, overindulgent.
extravagant.
Tricky was overfed and overcared for. What more did she do? What more did he have when he was at home?
Different beds and bowls for hours of the day.
Even cushions, coats, raincoats.
Okay,
Coats.
and
Wine.
he was
He had
fed
brandy.
constantly.
Brandy.
He was fed constantly.
Between meals also he had tea.
What is modern cod liver?
Cod liver is you get tablets, cod liver oil tablets. And malt is you mix it in the milk and you have it. Many people eat malt, but I don't know whether they give it. I have no pet, so I have malt. No, you don't give malt and bonvita to
Dogs die when you feed them chocolate. How did this thing survive for so long after drinking Horlicks? Dogs die when they drink chocolate. Consume chocolate.
It looks like it's just
It
a
doesn't die.
They don't die?
They don't die. It doesn't happen anything, but only of their anger issues. Huh? I thought dogs were deadly allergic to chocolates. That's what I was. You know, look into this. That's what I thought. Dogs are deathly allergic to chocolate. My nanny has a dog, a German Shepherd.
it's not good for them, their constitution.
We should write everything. You wanted to put
Okay. Please write down the question. Think about the answer. Just write down the question
Can I mark it?
and write it in the next period, but think about the answer.
think about it now.
Right now.
Think about it.
Homework.
The veterinary surgeon was a tactful person. Explain. The veterinary surgeon was a tactful person. Explain. Everybody write down the question.
What is the meaning of tactful?
Sorry? Tactful means
Tit for tat wala cheez.
tactful means intelligent.
Why was that?
The veterinary surgeon was a tactful person. Dash explain.
How much?
This is for 3 marks.
3 months means
5. 6.
Six
The veterinary
lines.
surgeon was a
6
tactful
lines.
person.
Above 6.
The veterinary surgeon was a tactful person. Explain. Not only, minimum. मतलब actually 6 lines होने चाहिए. Book. Yeah. We discussed
so smart. You should go think.
Bye.
Bye, Ma.
Bye.
हमको नहीं मिला ना ये इंग्लिश में हमको नहीं मिला ये इंग्लिश में हमसे
देखना उसका कलर अलग है पीछे को
सीबीएसई अटेंड सीबीएसई
तो लोग सीबीएसई होते हैं
आज भी पढ़ेंगे हमको इंग्लिश का नहीं है बुक्स